Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, me again, Gorilla here, and just to let you know, this is going to be a read of part 2 of What If Asta Had a Sister, and they both were the kids of Igneel from Fairy Tale. Left off, Lucy, there's Lucy's image. Hope you enjoy. I realised in the last one that I made the image a bit too short. And that's what Lucy would look like when she achieves one of her dragon fate, well, stage 3 of her dragon's power. Anyway, going back to where I last left off, Asta just woke up from a fire. And yeah, Asta woke up in the middle of a fireplace. People were obviously scared and a bit weirded out that a child who was, well, somebody who was actually a stone cold corpse is now with slits in his eyes, looking like a creature. That's horrible. And yeah, moving quickly on. And with Austin now officially 100% woken up, he feels the mark on the back of his neck because he feels a sharp pain coming from the back of his neck, and the mark glows. Lucy was behind him and said, "Asta, why is your mark glowing like that?" Asta says he doesn't know, but it's really painful. And the mark, well, what Lucy could see, because Asta can't see it, because he doesn't have eyes on the back of his head. So what she sees is that the mark slowly expands, going down his neck. So she says the mark's glowing and it looks like it's going down your neck, which catches Yami and William's attention. So Yami walks over and says, "Let me have a look." And William just follows because of curiosity. Yuno's just in shock that Asta's actually alive still. So he's standing there like an absolute buffoon. And William and Yami see the mark as well and see that it's expanding, but then stops. William does whisper to Yami saying we should really take him somewhere where we can test who he really is. And Yami whispers, or somewhat whispers back, saying, "No, we can't, because he's the brother of my squad mate now. And if we do that, she's going to be really pissed, along with your new squad member as well. If I'm not mistaken, all three of them were together ever since they were kids. So perhaps we should not take him somewhere to do experiments, and I dislike experiments anyway." William's just sighing, saying, "Not for experiments, take him to see you know who." Yami says, knowing him, he's most probably listening into a conversation anyway. The Wizard King, ladies and gentlemen, that's who they're talking about. Because the Wizard King seems to know all there is to know and know what Yami's about to think before he ever does ask the question. If you actually do watch some of the wizard parts where the Wizard King is actually there, I think his name was Julius. I think. Pretty sure it is. So yeah, they just say, well, if he asks the question, we can know he's most probably not listening to us, or is. You never know. So yeah, they both just ask Oster to follow them. They tell Yuno and Lucy. So sorry, I completely forgot who I was talking about then. God damn it, I hate myself. He tells Lucy, Oster, and Yuno to follow them because they're going to the capital. Lucy is concerned, along with Oster. Yuno is mildly concerned because the two captains, Yami and William, just said follow us because we're going to the capital. They all say we're getting on brooms and going, but they realise that they went through a portal, so they don't have their brooms with them, so they said, screw it, we're walking. And it takes them a little less longer because Yami knows shortcuts to the capital anyway, so he just constantly took those. And this time, when Yami was actually taking one of his shortcuts, because this is a massive diversion in the story itself, he takes one of the shortcuts and goes past a small fire that was going on, and people were having trouble putting the fire out. So Asta, being Asta, asks Yami, shouldn't they go and help? Yami says, we can't because I've seen one of those fires before. You can't even put it out with water or magic. You just have to let it burn out. Unfortunately, it has the habit of spreading as well. So yeah, we can't really help them. All they can do is get all their stuff away. And a woman runs up to them saying, please help me. This is for plot convenience. Again, to prove that Oster's not who everybody thinks he is. She runs up to him and says, please help us. My baby is still in there. I tried to go in to get her out. And she's still. And I couldn't. No, sorry. And I couldn't get far because the flames were too intense. Please help me. Now, Oster saying, well, I woke up from a fire not too long ago, so I'll go. Which catches the woman off guard, and she says, you just woke up from a fire. Oster said, yeah, apparently, according to my village, I was stone cold. I was as cold as a corpse. But when they put me on a fire, I miraculously came back to life. And that does creep her out, but it doesn't really concern her at the minute because her only concern is her baby, apparently. And Oster walks up to the fire, and says, "How old's your child?" And she says, "Only a few weeks old." So yeah, it's a toddler. Asta quickly runs in, and as he goes, runs right in, he hears a baby crying, runs right up to where the child's crying is, or where the baby's crying, picks the child out of the cradle, wraps the child up in a, takes off his t-shirt and wraps it around the child to keep it warm, or to keep it safe, or whatever remains of his t-shirt. Sorry, he was on a fire not too long ago. So yeah, he does that and notices that the fire's going out slowly, but doesn't take the chance and just runs out quickly with the child. But as he reaches the door, he feels a sharp pain once again going down his back. And other people see this now and they wonder what the hell's going on. Asta struggles to keep on his feet due to the pain because it's much more intense this time. So he stumbles over to the woman, hands her her child while wincing in pain, saying, "Here you go. I need to go and sit down somewhere because I'm in that much pain, apparently." Which, everybody can see that the mark's still glowing, but slowly dies down as he gets further away from the fire. And because Elster doesn't have a t-shirt, doesn't have a remainder of a t-shirt anymore, the mark is visible to everybody to see. And it's actually started to go further down his back. But this time, it got to a point where it started splitting. Two areas of the mark started splitting off. Yami saw this along with Yuno and Lucy and the village and the lady along with her, I'm going to say her husband, both saw this, said that mark isn't a sealing mark, is it? Oster says he doesn't know. Yuno says I've only seen the mark once, but it never did this, apart from a few days ago when he woke up from that fire. It used to be a nigh unnoticeable thing, but now it's very noticeable. But they think that it's just just an unordinary thing, and think nothing of it. But the husband and wife don't stop thanking Asta for saving their child. He says it's fine, but I think you better get to somewhere safe. So he points into the direction they just came from, saying go to Hodge Village and set up there. So they do. They thank him once again and leave. And they continue their walk to the capital. A few days later, they get there. Yami, Yuno, Asta, and Lucy, plus William, ask for an audience with the Wizard King. This is going to require his immediate attention. And his assistant says, Yami, William, your two new subordinates, I guess, and a unknown. What do you want this time? And before you say you want to see the Wizard King, he's currently away on business. Which then the door opens and says, No, I am still here. I only just got back. And he walks out of his little office to the receptionist. I can never remember his damn name. And says, Yami, William, looks like your two new squad mates. And he says, and he points to Oscar, saying, Who's that young boy? And Yami says, This boy has has a mark that constantly goes down his back every time there's a fire. And he is unaffected by the flames at all. And so's his sister, apparently. And Julius sort of like says, So you got a brother and sister here? And he said, and Yami said, Yes, she's my newest squad member. She walks forward, bows, and says, Good afternoon, Wizard King. And he just says, Please just call me Julius. And then he then points to Asuka, saying, Why do you why do you have a mark then? Asuka just gives him the whole rundown, along with what everybody else saw, including what Asuka did 2 days ago. Julius puts on a thinking face and then goes into his goofy stage of excitement, saying that it's actually really, really cool. What type of mana do you have? Doing all this, that, and the other. Asta saying, I don't have mana at all. Which sort of really confuses Julius and says, Huh, that's kind of weird. Can you three please wait here while I talk to Yami and William, please, in my office? Yami and William both look at each other with a puzzled look and walk into Julia's office. And after a few minutes, they walk out, saying, I don't know why, but hey, Asta, you're going to be in my squad, along with your sister. Welcome to the Black Bulls. This is what Julia wants, but hey. And William sort of ejects, saying, What is he thinking? And they have a small conversation about that. Not going to get into too much information. So yeah. Asta then goes to the Black Bulls, splitting off from Yuno and William, and going with Yami and his sister. And then they get to the Black Bulls. Magma puts them through the rites and that. Put them through the rite and that. And Yami agrees. Pardon me. And just the same thing happens in canon, but with us, with Lucy, not just, well, what would happen with Asta and actual canon. Lucy just having her four-leaf grimoire summons a magic barrier that actually deflects all shots. So when Magma tries to hit Lucy with a with his bomb, I guess, she just summons that and deflects it right back at Magma, which he quickly defuses so it doesn't blow himself up. It says, right, you pass with flying colours, apparently. Next is you, boy, as he points to Asta. And Asta just sort of flexes his muscles, saying, you better not be trying to hit on my sister, or you're going to get crushed. And Asta is cracking all of his knuckles and his neck at the same time. So Magma gets the message not to hit on his sister, or he's going to have trouble. Lucy actually does kind of hide behind her brother, because she doesn't like Magma. And a certain silver-haired girl on the top of a porch stands over and watches, saying, so we got two new members. Great. And she watches as Asta then stands there to go through the rite. Magma just does his usual thing in canon, but this time does it at a much higher temperature, just to prove that he's stronger than him. Asta just feels his mark flaring up again, but grits his teeth and then has his hands in a fist motion, which does catch Yami and Lucy's attention, saying, oh, and they both said together, oh no, his mark's flaring up again. And during this time, Magma starts throwing all of his fireballs, and Asta actually runs towards him. A lot different, not more different to than in canon. Words are fun, apparently. And Thor does all sorts of tricks, just dodging all of the fireballs. Magma's still trying to hit him with one of them, which this does actually catch Noelle's attention, and she's still standing up on top of her little perch. And by the way, Asta still hasn't got a t-shirt on, so Noelle actually sees the full brunt of Asta firsthand from the top of her little stadium, looking down at everybody, and watches him nail Magma square in the guts and sends him flying into a tree, which does cause Magma to cough up some phlegm and says, Jesus H. Christ, that hurt. Asta sort of scratching the back of his neck, saying sorry, while letting out a wince of a wince of pain. And that does actually catch not only Magma's attention, but the rest of the Black Bulls. All apart from you know who, because she's up on her little porch, as I said. And Magma actually walks over to him saying, "Are you okay?" As he sees the mark and says, "Hey, everybody, come and look at this." Which everybody does to see the mark once again expanding, but this time it looks like there's a body appearing. Da da da! And if you've ever seen, again, Natsu versus his brother Zerif, the mark that I'm talking about is the dragon symbol on his arm. So yeah, and the reason why Oster's getting the mark slowly, if he stands near fire, is because he's gonna start gaining a few new parts to his body. So yeah, sorry that was me. As everybody sees the mark, and due to the pain being extremely bad this time, Oster actually falls unconscious. Everybody sort of gets him to a room and puts him there. Within the morning, Oster wakes up, sort of panting and praving, saying, "Where am I?" Then he remembers, "Oh yeah, I passed out, so I'm still most probably in the Black Bull's hideout." He gets up to only see Lucy with her head down next to him, saying, "Oh, she must have been worried about me again, so she decided not to leave my side just in case." And sort of doing a brotherly thing whenever whenever you're near a sibling, if you have any, decides to ruffle up her hair just to get her to wake up. And this is something Lucy hates. So she wakes up very quickly to see that her brother's awake, which she actually says, "Oh, finally you're awake. You've been out for a few hours now." Well, not a few hours, you've been out for the entire afternoon since we got here. It's now early in the morning, and she just hugs him, saying, "Do not do that to me again. You scared me too many times this week." And Asta sort of grins, saying, "Sorry, sis. I'll try not to do that again." And she says, "You better not." So Asta gets up and walks with his sister to the door to see a pillar in front of it. Oh, they're both confused, as of in canon, that's what happens. And Oster still does not have a t-shirt yet. He's going to get one soon, I promise. But you'll see why in a minute. So yeah, Oster and Lucy see Magma pop his head around the corner, saying, "Yeah, our base has the habit of moving around. You'll be in one place one day, then the next you'll be in completely a different area." So yeah, they have a grand tour, and yeah, Asta has a grand tour of Magma while Lucy actually walks with um, the witch with the strings of fate magic. I remember I remembered her name in the video that I've done before, and I can't rightly remember her name again now. Shit. Oh well. You guys know who I'm talking about. Vanessa, there we go, Vanessa. Sorry. I just remembered her name now. Vanessa. And yeah, Lucy goes with Vanessa. They have a tour with her. And this is where Canon Oster meets Noelle. Sylvia, still getting the same reaction out of her. But considering, again, Oster does not have a t-shirt, his muscles are on display. And they're the muscles in the picture of Natsu. Just imagine he has grey hair. So yeah. Noelle tries to have a sort of meaningful conversation to say, I'm Noelle, Sylvia, remember it scene. But she just can't keep her eyes off of Asta's muscles. And how ripped, how much, how jacked he is. His muscles have muscles. And yeah, Magma and her have an argument, just like in canon, which then she says, I quit the Black Bulls, and walks off. Asta actually picking up the a sense of just annoyance from her, and knows that she's not actually fully like quitting. She's only saying that so she can go and practice her mana, because he has now got the ability to detect that sort of stuff. So yeah, he actually walks around for a bit after getting the tour from Magma, and he walks past a few fires. Obviously, the torches on the side of the or on the inside of the Black Bull's hideout. He walks past a few of them, and the fires get ousted and absorbed into Oster, which causes him to be in a bit of pain once again. And once again, the mark expands, this time with a right wing appearing. And how long have I got? I got a bit longer. And that's obviously where Oster starts developing a small right wing, which does appear in the next part that I will do. I will be leaving it off here, guys. But I will be saying this. The first what if of Asta had a sister and they both were the kids of Igneel from Fairy Tale reached 3 likes. And now I'm going to set you guys a bit of a challenge. 1. Let's see if we can get this up to 4 likes, and I will continue this video in the next few weeks or so. And let's see if you guys can also put down 3 comments. Like and subscribe, you guys.